I think the first one we need to address is this story from the Daily Mail.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily about the Daily Mail. It's just about Trump. He gave a speech. He went to the Rose Garden. Donald Trump says, "I am your law and order president." Orders heavily armed soldiers to D.C. and threatens to deploy military nationwide. Then has protesters tear gassed outside White House so he can walk to a fire-damaged church and brandish a Bible.
That's quite the headline.
I love how the media frames things.
Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
He had them gassed. He did. Trump was like, "I want all these people tear gassed. Do it. I want a picture of the church." No. Just, you know what? You don't know who did it. That's what I can't stand about the media. It's gonna come up every single time we read stories like this.
This is like, honestly, it's not just this. It's everything. Everyone's now posting, "This is Trump's America. This is what you get when you have Trump." And it's like, it's all the Democrat states. They're the ones who let out all the criminals like a month ago
right.
from COVID, and we're arresting regular people for walking around. It's like, what is going on? And then they're paying their bail. Like, how is that? How is it on Trump? I don't get it.
Exactly.
It's
really
kind of odd.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah, I will.
We're gonna come back to each of those points. Those are huge.
My goodness, yeah.
But take a look at this, right?
Yeah.
They say then has protesters tear gassed outside the White House so he can walk to a fire-damaged church and brandish a Bible. That is called framing, my friends.
Yeah, wow.
How about I frame that for you in a beneficial light? Donald Trump, orders soldiers to defend Washington, D.C. from violent riots, defends local residents, and surveys the damage on a church to assure Americans that the church still stands.
Historical church.
Framing. How about we tell you what actually happened? Protesters in front of the White House were dispersed with tear gas and police. Donald Trump took a photograph and checked out the church. It doesn't got to be positive or negative. You just tell them what happened. If you want to frame it beneficially or otherwise. But let's be fair, man. Donald Trump had to go to the church. Okay, this is ridiculous. BuzzFeed writes the same thing. I think I have this thing from BuzzFeed.
They're framing. I'm curious.
What is it? Peaceful protesters were gassed.
Goodness.
Outside the White House so Trump could get a photo op at a church.
There's
no winning. I mean, for the most part, outside, I think so. But when they're ordered to disperse and they wouldn't, you could argue they were no longer peaceful. You know what I mean? Like the cops were like, move back, and then they didn't, and the tear gas went flying. But that's not the issue for me. The issue for me is that St. John's Church was set on fire by these rioters. And people were freaking out, rightly so. St. John's Church isn't just a church for Christians. It is an American national monument. It is a historical site. It is like, that's like stamped, boom, on the front.
Yeah.
This is where all the presidents, I think except Nixon, or not all of them because it was built in like 1807 or something. But all presidents pray there. Trump is going there, in my opinion. And this, again, just my opinion, because the American people are probably scared. What happened to our church? This is the president's church across from the White House. So Trump went there, took a picture in front of it. Why? That picture shows America that the church still stands, that a national monument was not destroyed, despite all the reports you saw yesterday about it being up in flames. Fox News went in there and you could see the flames billowing up, and they put the fire out. And now Trump is standing there showing he's in control. The church is fine. And there it is.
Yeah.
The media doesn't want to tell you that, though. The media wants to tell you that he's just gassing people for no reason.
Everything's his fault.
Everything's his fault. Well, let's talk about that. Let's pull the pin out of what you just mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to say, I tweet and I because you guys are constantly giving me stories, I asked this weekend, I'm like, where do we go from here? And, what do you think of Trump labeling Antifa terrorists? And I'm getting all different sides of the story. I'm seeing it from many different people. And one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of people blaming Trump with no substance. I'm seeing a lot of things that don't really make sense. The whole Obamagate, all of a sudden now no one's thinking about Obamagate. It was seriously damning for Biden. He said some crazy racist things. If you ain't black, you're not voting, or if you're not voting for him.
Biden was implicated in unmasking Michael Flynn.
Right.
The day his name got leaked.
He gets implicated in the whole Obamagate thing.
Then that story's gone. And then because he said you ain't black.
Yeah, he's gone. It's just like, now everyone's just, it's all about riot. It's all about, racist, everything. Yeah, it's really interesting that.
Well, so check it out.
I'm trying to break it all down. There's so much, going on.
First, the prisons. All right.
Right, the prisons.
So there's a video from I did a segment on it. This rioter, he's a looter, was caught. They were looting some building.
Right.
His buddies, everybody jump out and get in the car, and he was too slow, so they speed off. He gets arrested. So he's asked, "Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "Man, I just wanted the money." And he was like, "Is this anything to do with the George Floyd protests?" And he goes, "I mean, a little bit, but if I'm going to be honest, nah, I just wanted the money." It's like, there it is.
Yep.
So let me ask you a question. All these prisons that released all these prisoners for COVID,
Yeah.
and then had to rearrest a lot of these people.
Or attempting to.
Right. Is it possible? I don't know, because we haven't.
I'll say it because this is what I was thinking. That they were losing. The Democrats are in a corner. They have got Biden, Sleepy Joe. They're
Sleepy.
Oh man, what are we gonna do? We got to figure out some way to blame Trump for something. Release all these criminals. All right, now that no one has these jobs, we're gonna shine a huge spotlight on the next thing that happens, and that's,
Put it up on all the press.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, the protesters are, the overwhelming majority are peaceful.
Yeah.
Until the riot starts, and then everyone just goes nuts.
Right. Well, what's starting the riots? That's the thing.
Criminals.
No, it's absolutely, yes. They're definitely criminals.
Right.
Yeah, of course. But it's not.
That was broad.
It's not the protesters though. The people that are walking peacefully protesting aren't the ones that are. Yeah. It's a slippery slope here.
Fine line.
Yeah. It's like they are angry, rightly so. Right. Every single video I've seen of rioters starting things, it's not the protesters. It's far left activists. And
Yep.
I'm not saying anything about race. Yes, it plays a huge part in that. But I'm seeing like Antifa starting these things. It's like that's not the protesters. Those aren't the people that are angry about George Floyd.
Right.
That's the key.
And this is crazy. There's the like their manifesto kind of going around.
Mm-hmm.
It's their membership. What do you call it? It's like how to form an Antifa group.
Okay.
Manual. And it specifically says to pretend to be Black Lives Matter,
Right.
Because liberals don't like you. And so you see these videos from actual Black Lives Matter activists, and like there's one that's going viral where it's two white women tagging BLM.
I saw that.
And,
Yeah.
and there's a black woman who she's like, "What are you doing? We're going to get blamed for this."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it."
I saw that video.
Or there's the video where the black woman has the brick and she walks up to the car and she goes,
Oh, yeah.
"Why did you just give a bunch of young black men a brick? Are you crazy?" And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And she gives her the brick
and
back.
she's got the camera on the car, and it's full of white kids.
Yep.
White people.
Antifa.
It's like, what are you doing?
Being
Like,
Antifa.
Right. They're
Well, so-
inciting this stuff.
So
They're-
let's
painting the
I wanna-
picture wrong.
We got to walk through that list you had in the beginning.
I know. There's so much.
They
There.
let the prisoners out.
Right.
Then they say, "Shut your business down."
Yep.
This is,
40
what, man?
million people lose their jobs.
Well, here's I have this saying that I tell people: how many coincidences until you've won the lottery?
Yeah.
What is it, 5 or 6? Let's talk Mega Millions, right? Powerball. It's like
Yeah.
6 numbers, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6 numbers, and let's 1 through 70. Like, what are the numbers? 72, 99, or something?
I've
don't
never
know.
played. I have no
Yeah, I
idea.
have no idea.
The
yeah.
chance of winning the lottery, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
Sometimes people win the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm making with that is, how many coincidences until you're like, come on, man, did we just win the lottery? So look, this is where it makes me question things. But of course, I don't make decisions or I don't act upon assumptions unless I have hard evidence.
Yeah.
Or I don't act on assumptions. I need hard evidence. So what I see is the Democrats tell everyone to shut their businesses down. They do.
Yep.
So what happens? Perishable goods gone.
Mm-hmm.
Within a few weeks, all those goods are gone, and any restaurant that wants to reopen has got to reinvest $20,000
Just for food. Yep.
They don't have it. Food's spoiled, right? But it's okay. It's okay, because a lot of the hard goods stores can reopen, and all their hard goods are just right there waiting for you. And then the same people who told all of us to stay home encouraged everyone to come out and grieve. And what happened? Someone put bricks all over these cities.
Yeah.
And then people smash all those stores with hard goods, and the hard goods get stolen. You know what, man? How many coincidences until you've won the lottery? I gotta say, man. I gotta say, you're seeing. I have covered these protests for a decade.
Yeah.
I have never seen stacks of bricks lined up outside of all of these places.
Neither have I.
Never.
I've been there with you.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Like
Right. It's crazy.
we were at a place where they like burned a car.
Yeah.
They were throwing bottles at it. Threw me a bottle at me. No bricks.
Yeah.
But what you walk up to a courthouse and there's a big old stack of bricks, and the protesters are calling it out. Even people who protest who know this.
Yeah.
Because they're not rioters, they're protesters. And there's that one video I love where the guy's like, "This is a setup."
Yeah.
He's like, you got to do better. This is a setup.
Mm-hmm.
These people know what they're seeing.
Exactly.
There was one where a woman is like, why are all these bricks dropped right in front of this building? What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody is organizing, and I think it's Antifa.
I think so too.
But what you got to understand about Antifa, what they're planning on going after them as, my understanding is individual domestic terror charges. So far left extremism. Now all of these pundits I see are popping up being like, Trump is so dumb, saying Antifa are terrorists, and I'm like, I was talking to this guy I know, and I said, what would you call it? And he's like, it's not terror. And I'm like, okay, hold on, let me ask you something. When they sent me a picture of my fan, when they posted a picture online of me and me and another photo had my mom on it, and then lied about me in crazy ways, and then some people in when I was in Berkeley threatened me and tried to fight me, and some dude intervened to stop them. When they sent me emails with my address on it, when they send me death threats, what do you call them? Is that look? They're politically motivated.
I pulled up the definition.
Okay.
Here's the definition of terrorism.
Yes.
The use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. That's number 1. Number 2, the state of fear and submission produced by terrorism. And 3, a terroristic method of governing or resisting of government. That's exactly what these people are doing.
Yep.
The Antifa people.
What we are seeing with Antifa is the intelligent, strategic evolution of insurgency.
Yep.
Where they know if they create a group and call it like, the Fighting Mongooses, then the police are going to be like, which one of you is part of the Fighting Mongooses and who's the leader and where's the money come from? So what they do is they pretend to not exist. It even says in the manual that if you form a group, don't give it a name and don't allow outsiders in. It's a tight-knit group of people. You have a vetting process. Everyone's background checked and someone has to vet for each person. So what they're doing is specifically looking at the laws and how terrorism is being enforced and then navigating between them to engage in terrorism. Now, I'll admit, it is broad, blunt, low-level terror. And so the problem for us, when the far right, whatever you want to call them, I don't think far right makes sense. I mean, I guess culturally, engage in terror. It is sharp. It is a rifle. It is unloading on tons of people. These things are rare, but when they happen, shocks the minds of everybody. And that's damaging to their own cause because it makes everyone hate them. What Antifa does is low level enough where the press won't pick it up. Is it news to the average American that outside of Mike Cernovich's event, Antifa strangled a guy? It's not. The New York Post picked it up because it was a local, crime event.
Yeah.
The guy got arrested. But regular Americans never heard that happened. So Antifa engages in these low-level efforts to shock and scare people, and it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And that's why it's more effective. So they say, we're just Antifa, it's a loose organization. Well, who bought you your clothes?
Yeah.
Who bought you the flag?
And who's bailing you out of prison?
Justin Timberlake
Yeah.
and Chrissy Teigen and Steve Carell, was it?
Steve Carell.
Steve
Lots
Carell.
of other celebrities. Joe Biden staffers.
So this is interesting now. If Trump's going to charge them as terrorists and Joe Biden is bailing them out, his campaign is.
Yeah.
Well, his campaign staff. I'm going to be very, very careful. So back to that list we were talking about. Democrats, it wasn't only Democrats who released prisoners. They got released all over the place.
Okay.
Democrats are the one who want to remain locked down, though.
Yeah.
Even though we had data coming out saying the lockdown wasn't working. Republican states stayed open. Texas was the last to close, one of the first to open. And then after your business is completely destroyed and they're encouraging these same people to come out, you can still argue it must be just stupid people. Oh, these stupid Democrats don't realize what they're doing. They're encouraging. CNN said the rioting was just the language of the unheard, desperately begging the rioters not to bash a bottle over their head like they did those journalists, I think it was in Louisville.
Yeah.
Then, finally, to top it all off, your business is now gone. The people that told you not to go out encouraged the protesters, which morphed into rioting, and they kept encouraging it and defending it, saying, oh, but it's the police who's at fault. And then finally, when you're like, could it get any worse? Joe Biden's staff steps up and says, by the way, we're going to make sure we bail out those people that destroyed your city. Could you imagine living in a place like that?
Oh
No.
my gosh.
Yikes, man. I'll tell you what else. The United States no longer has a Second Amendment argument.
That's a good point.
Our debate. It's done.
Right.
It's
done.
over.
It's finished.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, there's videos coming up all over the place. People defending their businesses, and the people are just going around their business. It's like,
Yeah.
they're standing there with rifles, and no
Yep.
one's touching them.
There's no more gun control debate. because when COVID happened, all these liberals showed up.
Yeah.
And were like trying to buy guns. And he was like, the store owners are like, it's going to take a couple of extra days. You got to fill out these forms. And they're all shocked.
Yep.
Now, where are we? Man. Did you hear about the bar owner in Omaha?
No.
So a bar owner and his dad, these rioters were smashing everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the dad confronts this group and the group shoves him down. So then the son shows that he's got a weapon. So then two guys jump him. He pulls the weapon, or they charge at him. So he pulls up and he fires what he says were 2 warning shots. And then I guess they fled. But then another guy knocked him down and jumped on his back, I guess. And then he fired over his shoulder, shooting the dude in the neck.
Okay.
Now in Omaha, they're demanding he be charged with murder. Yep.
What?
Yep. And the prosecutor said no. He said, based on reviewing the footage, it was self-defense.
Oh, there was footage of it.
Yep. Lucky.
Yeah.
He didn't start the fight.
Yep.
His dad did. His dad got knocked down. He showed him he was armed.
Yep.
And then he got attacked. He defended himself.
Yep.
I think there'll be more riots from that. But we're seeing this kind of stuff, man. I've got, dude, I'm going to be, I can't, I don't want to reveal any identities, but let me just tell you, a person I know, lifelong Democrat,
Okay.
like hates the Republicans,
Yeah.
said to me, the only way that this is resolved is if Donald Trump wins re-election and the Republicans control every branch. A lifelong Democrat told me that, and I'm laughing.
How long
Wow.
have you known this person?
Very long.
Oh,
Very long. Yep. And friends of mine are they getting? It's not a red pill, bro. It's a gigantic red suppository. Because it's one thing.
Oh my gosh.
Listen,
welcome.
you're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you.
Oh.
If you're somebody who's like reading the internet,
Yeah.
you get red pilled when you're like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Wow. These people are waking up one day seeing. Do you see that guy who was like, woohoo, riots? And then they came to his house and he was like, oh no, riots.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I call a suppository.
Yeah, the other dude was like, yeah, burn it down. Is that the same
That's
person?
him, yeah.
That's him,
There's
yeah.
a picture of the building. He's
the-
like, yeah, burn it all down. And then it's like, wait a minute, don't come to my town and burn it down. Go burn your own houses. Like, what?
It's the low income housing.
Yeah.
And he's like, burn it down. And then he posts about how he's like, I'm going to go join the protests and stuff.
Yeah.
Then they come to his house and he's just freaking out. And he literally said, don't come to my community. We care about our stuff. Go to downtown LA. That's where the poor people are.
Oh my.
So he's cheering when the poor people burn their own stuff down.
That's messed up.
That is a red suppository.
It's very clear that it's a huge class issue, and that's a big part that people seem to not want to talk about. The whole it's a class. The lower class are really a target here.
It used to be that we understood this. Occupy Wall Street was when people were talking about class issues.
Yeah.
And then they introduced some identity politics.
They're like, no, it's a race issue. Racism controls everything. Now, I'm not saying there isn't racism that exists, because absolutely it's out there, but it is a huge class issue. And that's what we were talking about before, about living in cities. We have to pay others for all of our services. And that's part of, that it's like working for yourself or working for someone else forever. But now you're living for someone else and working for someone else. So every aspect of your life, you basically have someone else you have to answer to. And that's the problem.
People, Mike Cernovich tweeted this. If you're not familiar, he's like a very prominent Trump supporter. I don't know what you call him now, conservative. But he said his prediction is that Trump wins a narrow victory.
Okay.
Republicans lose the Senate. I don't know what he said about the House. And I'm wondering, man, could that be? Like, after all this, people would vote Democrat, huh? I guess, maybe. Some people have messaged me and they said, I'm wrong. The race is really close. And I have to stop pretending like, Trump's going to take it. And I'm like, but I listen, man, I grew up in Chicago. You grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
Then you moved out. The people I know.
Well, I lived in the city until I was 3, and then I moved to the suburbs. So I wouldn't say I lived in the city.
Well, I mean, but Chicagoland area. That's what.
Yeah.
Like everyone there is a Democrat.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Not my family that lives there.
No. Once you get out of the suburbs, you can find little Republican pockets.
Yeah.
But I grew up in the city. Everyone's a Democrat. And people I know now there are like diehard Trump. And I'm like, I can't see it. I can't. Maybe there's other areas. The suburbs changed to Republican to Democrat. I don't know. I guess if these protesters show up at the suburbs, then it'll be a wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But to see a lot of these upper middle class and snooty elites shocked
Yeah.
that the purge actually included them too.
Yep.
That's what they thought. They were like, it's fun to watch on TV. Reminds me of the movie The Hunt.
Yep.
The rich elitists are like, we're going to go hunt these people. And then it's like, you're going to die. These people don't get it. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.